You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Thoughts of suicide may feel impossible to overcome. But with help and support, you can find hope and meaning. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK to speak to a counselor, or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. It's free, it's confidential, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even if it feels like it, you're not alone.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 5000 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 5000. Enjoy.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Chicago, the Windy City, the city of big shoulders, Ditka Town. It's another episode of the Loftus Party. I'm in Chicago. We are doing our Freedom to Laugh show tonight. We're filming a special for Fox Nation. It's craziness. Yesterday was a big travel day. There's a lot of pre-production stuff. Glad to be here. I'm in a giant cavernous hotel room, so I'm sure it sounds lovely. I'm sure it sounds like I'm in a high-tech recording studio. We got the Gimlet on the other end of the line, as always. Hello.
What is the big shoulders thing?
I don't really know. I know the Windy City because it's windy as all hell. I think the big shoulders, it might have something to do with just strong people moving around meat. Because I think that's what Chicago was known for back in the day. It was like the big butcher capital of the world.
Ah.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. I know some of them. I know why the Big Apple is the Big Apple. That's kind of a cool one. That comes from jazz music. When musicians would travel around the country, they would call gigs apples, and like, oh, we're playing, Chattanooga. It's a pretty good apple, And then New York, being the most important of all the gigs, the biggest money, it was the Big Apple.
Nice.
So there, we've learned something. We like to start each show with trivia.
I lived outside of Chicago, and I've heard the Windy City. I just never heard the big shoulders thing.
I got to tell you, and it's nothing against the good people of Chicago, but it's like a different kind of person here. It's so wonderful. Like sometimes you forget just how big of a country America is, and like how there's like, just regionally, there's like, it's just a different kind of person here. A lot of mustaches still, a lot of dudes with still rocking, and unironically, they're just like
the 70s porn stash.
Yes, and a lot of puffy jackets. However,
well, it's cold.
Oh my lord. So I'm in a part of town called Schaumburg, and there's a great improv out here, and so that's where we're doing the show. And there's a giant mall, and like yesterday was a good long day. Left New York in the morning, got to Chicago, a little pre-production, then there was running around and filming Chicago landmarks, and then camera dudes coming in and then scouting the location. And so nothing's easy, but it's going to be great. It's going to be, I'm so looking forward to the show tonight. And then next week's show, we'll have the post-Thanksgiving show. I'll let you know how the taping went. But Brian Hayner's here. He rolled in from L.A. And Reno. Oh my God, Reno Collier. That dude just makes me laugh. We went out to dinner last night, and it's like he starts telling stories that he's told already like a million times, but you don't stop him because it's just funny. And he laughs so hard. He makes himself cry. He laughs so hard. And these are stories like, you're like, as he's telling it, you're like, really, dude, you're going to cry again? Like, you've told me this story 7 times, but
right.
he's just so delighted in the retelling of it. So it's going to be a fun show.
Yeah.
Brian, Hayner's here. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
I love having Reno on this show.
He is a goofball.
It was a good chat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's good people. Brian's fantastic.
I like when he was saying, "You people from LA need to stop moving to my town."
Yeah, he's a Nashville dude, and that's what the LA people are descending like locusts. So I have no idea what's going on in the news other than you're making a bunch of it. I know that I
wasn't trying to.
Well, it's what I love about social media. Right. And how it's supposed to work. It's like, okay, there's a person here that's saying something interesting, and then enough people find out about it. So just to let our listeners know, the Gimlet over there, as we were talking about Ukraine and the impeachment and all, mostly like I think it's like the Ukrainian stuff. Glenn Beck picked up on it because you guys, it was like parallel thinking. He was saying the same thing you were saying, and old Glenn Beck down there in Dallas, Texas was like, ooh, check out this good stuff. And he reposted the whole thread, yeah?
No, it wasn't. He didn't repost my thread. He actually posted an article that I wrote over at NOQ. And what it did is, people may or may not remember Michael McFaul, who was Barack Obama's ambassador to Russia. He's also been accused of being the architect of what is called color revolutions, which he vehemently denies. However, at one point he did articulate the 7 things that are required for a successful one, and I went through each one of those items and explained how Democrats are doing it in this country, because it's all about getting people upset and angry over a suspect election. Basically, having a complicit media or an independent media that will carry that narrative for you, and the ability to mobilize people. And if you look at what they did after the 2016 election, if he wins again in 2020, you ain't seen nothing yet, baby.
Well, that's like, I mean, how do you not, if you're a dude and you've done the research and you've thought about it and you've worked it out and you're like, well, man, here's a recipe, you could use this to overturn a government,
right?
And then you use it and it starts working. You're like, oh, I was right. Yeah,
this is how you do it.
This is how you do it. And then I always think it bears repeating that, like, so many people in the Obama administration, I always thought it was a conspiracy theory. And then I looked it up. I did my own research. Like, how many people in the Obama administration were just connected to the news? You know, you had Ben Rhodes. His brother was running CBS, and there was another. The list just went on and on. CNN, ABC, blah blah blah. So it is a bit conspiracy. It's conspiracy adjacent, but that's called reality.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even call it. You know, so people like to use this term deep state, and I think, you know, some folks actually think it's a really coordinated and deliberate thing, even in just researching the hideous Fiona Hill.
Fiona Hill. I'm Fiona Hill.
Yeah, she does a British accent, actually.
Yes, very British.
Even
that
in
was
just
my lovely British accent.
Researching her, the concept of the deep state, what it actually is to me, is a bunch of people who were educated in the same places, served on the boards of the same organizations, across between academic, media, and people in the bureaucracy, or appointed officials, not necessarily elected officials. And they truly believe in this idea of a persistent government that's unelected. So you kept hearing during these impeachment hearings, right, that, oh, you know, he violated long-standing U.S. policy. Well, first of all, the policy towards Ukraine has shifted significantly since the Obama administration, so I'm not sure what long-standing policy you're talking about.
Yeah.
Number one. And number two, I find it hysterical, right, that all of you were A-okay with Obama sending blankets when they were begging for Javelin missiles.
Yes.
And now the idea that some more Javelin missiles might be delayed by a bit because now we have this dude who's president and we don't know exactly where he's going to go, right?
Yeah.
Is now somehow some violation and going to cause all these national security problems. Not really.
That
I mean,
really.
Fiona Hill, who testified and said, oh, this would be devastating and da-da-da-da-da, in 2015 wrote an op-ed discouraging defensive arms for the Ukraine.
That's the thing that I think most Americans, I mean, it's weird. This is the good thing about Trump is he, like, just naturally just like distills things down into their least common denominator, right?
Right.
You know, like, you know, creepy Joe, lying, whatever. But it's like, it was so hard to believe when you have Adam Schiff up there almost crying about, and they needed these weapons, and we were delaying. I'm like, dude, like, the previous administration was giving them pillows and blankets and sleeping bags. Like, how can you? And I think hopefully most people see right through that. Hopefully they see right through it, because it was ridiculous.
Here's a really neat piece of information. One of Adam Schiff's major donors in California is a Ukrainian-born man who makes, like, surveillance balloons, right? So, like, not really drones, but surveillance equipment. So when Obama was not giving the Ukrainians defensive arms, they could have this surveillance equipment so that they could see what the Russians were doing.
Yeah.
I guess it's really nice to know when people are going to roll tanks into your town, right?
Yeah, it's good to know your life is going to be over in 5 minutes.
That throws dinners for Adam Schiff and donates to his campaign made millions of dollars when we had an embargo on defensive arms. So Adam Schiff is full of crap.
Oh, see, this is the kind of thing, like, It's just like journalism, dig a little deeper. Can't someone be a little bit curious? It's crazy.
Oh, the
It is
complete lack
crazy.
of curiosity is just insane.
That's
Well, like,
yeah.
all over the nets this week was an Interfax Ukraine story saying the MPs from Zelensky's own party in Ukraine want Zelensky to come over here because they believe there's been significant money laundering into this country, into Democrat-associated funds, right? That was actually the money that was taken out of Ukraine by the former president.
It is so jacked up over there, and I have to imagine everybody's hitting that. Everybody's hitting that Ukraine ATM. It's just like, hey, listen, you guys, they got this thing set up, Burisma Holdings, and da-da-da-da. Hey, I'm going to get on that. Hey, it's got to be, and if it's going on in Ukraine, it's going on other places. It's just...
Oh, we're doing it right now in Chile.
Well, here's and it's I'm a little not disgusted with myself, but like so I do videos on Tuesdays and Saturdays. Those are my days that I post. But like I was thinking about this, and I did a video about it, and I just don't know if people know. Like so Ukraine, the foreign aid, and they were waiting, but like the U.S. aid, just what our bill, the bill that we have, is $50 billion. There's $50 billion a year that's just going out to God knows who for God knows what reason. And then how much is that? How many kickbacks are there? How many kickbacks are there? It's like, hey, Ecuador, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you, $5 billion to do X, Y, and Z. You go ahead and get your taste. You wet your beak, but make sure you buy a couple diapers with it. Hand that out. But you're going to have to buy the diapers from my company and then just, hook me up with a couple $100 million. No one's going to notice it. I just have to think that it's rampant, that it's just rampant. But I was just shocked. $50 billion a year. And then this was the sad part. We got 37 million people in America who are living at or below the poverty level. So it's like, and my joke was, I think we're in one of those situations where we have to put on our own mask before we can help other people. But like, seriously, I know it was like the whole build the wall thing, and there was like the triangle of terror or whatever down in South America. We're like, if we don't give Colombia this money, then there'll be even more refugees. And I just think that's crap. I just think that's absolute garbage. And I'm like,
our embassies end up giving money to very, very left-leaning NGOs who actually help people migrate here. I mean, it's just it's a huge and crazy system, and the more you dig into it, right?
Yeah.
What you see is political affiliation doesn't matter. This is honestly a view of the world, right? That people in our political establishment, media companies, and academia have, that there should be a small cadre of people who make decisions for other people because they're just smarter than you. And I find that radically offensive.
It drives me crazy. It's like fingers on a chalkboard.
Yep.
Or fingernails, rather. Not fingers on a chalkboard, I'm fine with. It's the nail part. But it's these people who think they're smarter than everyone else, and we should be in charge. And they've never once, thought about, and here's what, it's the recipe.
They've never signed the front of a paycheck.
Dig it. And it's always just a theory that they've learned, and then they never... it's like they haven't read history. Like, okay, so let's say you do get someone who's awesome in charge. Let's say you do, you're like, okay, I'm now the emperor of America, and I'm awesome, and Mr. Awesome runs everything great. What happens when Mr. Awesome dies and someone else comes in? That's literally, you can, with Venezuela, Chavez did a lot of bad stuff, but for a while there, it was working. It was working. And then it's the next guy who comes in and just
screws it all up.
Yes, and just goes ass over tea kettle. We're buying this. And listen, I'm not saying Chavez was a walk in the park, but at least it was functioning at some level for a little while until they started running out of money and then, yada, yada. But I guess it's a conspiracy, but it's like this whole Agenda 21 thing in the UN. That's like, I don't even want to dig into that because my head will explode. I literally will need like tin foil. But it's like, for lack of a better term, it is like a plan. Like it looks for all intents and purposes to be like a plan for like a big one world government. And like why is there an Agenda 21 in the UN? Like somewhere there was a think tank and people thought about it and they presented the idea and this is what you would. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like it either. But again, if you look at people like Fiona Hill and you start making the Venn diagram, right?
Yeah.
Of people who work with people. Like, for example, we kind of know at this point, or you should know at this point, that most of the leaks coming out of the White House were coming out of H.R. McMaster's organization when he was director of NSA, right?
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't.
Well, yeah, he had the whistleblower. He had Dr. Hill. Vindman was on his team. Yeah, all those people come out of that organization. The NSC, right? Well, then you find out there's like 400 people on the NSC. That's way too many. And then you start looking and you figure out where H.R. McMaster went when he left, and he went to something called the Atlantic Council, which is full of these people. They're all neocon interventionists, right?
Yeah.
So my question then becomes, as you're looking at the background, like, you know how Trump said in his call, hey, Zelensky, we think you still got some really bad people around you? I'm looking at this crew and I'm going, how did these people ever get into a Trump White House when he's clearly an anti-interventionist?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's that whole network. They all knew each other. They all this, they all that, right? So it's a network of people who literally hold this opinion that are still embedded everywhere in that administration, even in positions the president is appointing.
You have to think that in 2016 and 2017, all these people, like they're just running around DC, and they couldn't believe they hadn't been fired. You know, like how do I still have a job?
Yeah. No, it's
getting
just
fired. Just think it's up. It's just what?
Oh, I'm sorry. It sounded like you dropped. My bad.
Oh. No, it's like, and then it sounded like you dropped. We had the pause of politeness.
Yeah, we had some weirdness or something. No, it's just, how do these people still have jobs? They're never really going to go away. And at this point, I legitimately just think that Donald Trump is like a bull in a china shop.
Yeah.
Like, he started knocking shit off the shelves that really upset people because they wanted to stay behind whatever was on the shelf, you know?
Yeah.
I can't even tell you that I believe what he's doing is intentional. He just has a view of the world that he's trying to implement. And then when something like this blows up, it almost seems like he's got some kind of homing device where it goes directly to where it's going to hurt the worst.
Yeah, there is the deep state, whatever. I'm very like yourself, just concerned with these unelected officials who just kind of making a career about it. Who was that? I might have said this last week, but like there was one of the dudes who was like testifying in the impeachment trial, the bow tie, the guy with the bow tie with the blue water bottle.
Uh-huh.
It was just like, my grandfather was a career bureaucrat. My father was a career bureaucrat. And I've proudly followed it. I'm like, dude, you should be embarrassed of that. You should be embarrassed. Like, I come from a long line of paper pushers who drink from blue water bottles. I'm like, you suck. You suck. Get out into the real world. Do something. Smell a flower. Kiss a girl. Build a model of a spaceship. I know.
Let it loose a little bit.
I know Star Trek fans that are more interesting than you. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Then you have Fiona Hill talking about, I chose to be an American. Like, that's a big deal. In all of our heritages, somebody chose to be an American.
I know.
Mine chose to roll a cannon up the hill during the revolution when we kicked your British butts out.
It's just, and then just
what does that mean?
Dig it. I chose to be. I realized that England was screwed and the tax system was too much. I chose to be American. And then, of course, they're trotting out the old, like, that's not who we are. We're better than this. And it's like, no, dude, we're not. We're not. I don't know. It's going to be. Sometimes I get so optimistic for the future, and everything's going to be, sunshine and lollipops. And then sometimes I just get so bummed out about it because I really, my concern going into 2020 is just like the casual person, the person who has a pretty good job and things are going great, but they just kind of think it just kind of happened. They think it just kind of happened. And that's how life is. And they kind of every once in a while they'll look at the TV and CNN is just like, well, Trump's a criminal. He's a straight up criminal. He's a dirty traitor, dirty Russian operative who tries to, and they go, wow, that must be true. Like, how many of those people are out there? That's why. And I just don't know how do you, and I guess this is the $10 million question is like, how do you get to that, like, casual, the person who just looks at politics casually and inform them and get them to be curious without overwhelming them, because it's easy to glaze over. It's easy.
It's very easy to glaze over, but remember, half of those people don't vote.
Let's hope.
So we can only be concerned with the people who vote. And so what I find super interesting, and we had a couple of oopses here in the greater Georgia area, where some idiotic voters voted for what was termed as moderate Democrats in our suburban districts. And so what I'm going to do with a little group of friends is go to every single one of their town halls and ask them what they're doing about the USMCA, the trade deal that they won't pass. I'm going to ask them what they're doing to stave off the Cadillac tax. I'm coming at them from the left and talking about things they haven't done for Democrats. I'm going in as an undercover conservative to make them look like crap in front of their own voters.
That's great. That'll put you on the radar. Get video of that.
Oh, I will. Oh, I'll be posting them all over the social media with the hashtag Women for Trump.
Standing up. That's fantastic. I almost forgot to say this about the whole Glenn Beck thing. So for a while there, we had Chad Prather was coming out and he was doing some shows with us, and he has his own thing that he does, and he's extremely busy. He's a good dude. I'm a big fan. And when we were down at the Blaze, and Glenn Beck just brilliantly lets it be known that he collects, movie memorabilia, especially Star Wars stuff. That dude, and you can go on Chad Prather's, I think it's Watch Chad on Facebook. But Glenn Beck not only has the original Darth Vader suit from 1977, like one of the, it's flipping nuts. When I was in there, he wasn't in, so I kind of like one of his walls is just big and glass, and it's like looking at a really cool museum piece. That dude, he just got one of the R2-D2s from The Empire Strikes Back. Like, literally.
You're so jealous.
I'm insanely jealous. And it's like that. Oh, and then of course, there's a picture of Prather and R2-D2 and Glenn Beck standing there, and I'm like, I can tell by the dirt on R2-D2 what movie it's from. And I'm like, it's just the coolest crap. So for our listeners out there, I just want you to know, I too am a big fan of Star Wars memorabilia. So if you'd like to get me an actual prop used in one of those movies, I will gladly accept it. Accept it.
Funny.
Oh my goodness! So let me ask you this, because I don't know what occurred yesterday. Literally did not turn on the TV yesterday. Was just so busy running around. Have the Democrats signaled? Are they done? Are they going to go? Are they going to keep pushing impeachment and go for a vote in Congress and send it to the Senate? Because I was on I was on Fox and Friends. Here's the interesting thing, and well, it's not that interesting. I just think it's kind of inside baseball stuff. I get the call from Fox and Friends the other day, and they're like, "Hey, can you be on tomorrow? You know, and come into the studio?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I'm going to talk about Coldplay. And I thought that was very funny. Coldplay wants a carbon neutral tour, so they're not going to tour unless it's carbon neutral. So I'm writing jokes about that stuff, and they go, "Oh, hey!" And at the last second, they changed me from Fox and Friends to Fox and Friends First. So I was on at like flipping 5 a.m., like 4:50, and it turns out later on that day, Trump did like an hour-long phone call with the real, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's why I got bumped for the president," which I was actually kind of cool with. I'm like, you can bump me for the president, that's fine.
That's all right.
But like Trump seemed to be like, let's go to the Senate, let's do it.
Oh no, he totally is. Here's like, I'm looking at this whole thing like, guys, you didn't shoot yourself in the foot just once. You did it like twice. Okay?
The Democrats.
Yeah, because if you look at it, Nadler's committee, like Nancy Pelosi had to take this away from the Judiciary Committee where it would normally be, because my favorite Georgia representative, Doug Collins, was basically hammering Nadler endlessly. Like, for being the ranking member, right? The number 2 on the minority side. Yeah. He basically he was making Jerry Nadler dance around like a freak, okay? So
which is hard to do, because Nadler, that guy's
just creepy.
And he's got a very odd little body. He's got a very like I was and like I always, and I'm sorry.
It's not as bad as when he was really fat though. Those pictures are incredible.
Like, and I'm not kidding. Like, yeah. I don't like making jokes about people's personal appearances. I just think it's whatever. For comedy's sake, it's not the best. And I took a shot at Jerry Nadler in a video, saying that he looked like one of the banker goblins from Harry Potter, and I thought it was like dead on, and it was hilarious. And then I didn't realize like he's like I felt bad later doing it, because then I saw him like next to real people, like and Nadler's that's an odd. He's had a rough life. I guarantee that dude was teased mercilessly as a kid. He is like a little So, and of course,
I think he looks like a Weeble, but that's just me.
He does.
Remember those little toys, Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down? Yeah.
And I can't believe they don't make them. But I like how, like, even in my apology, I took another shot at him. I said this about him, and I shouldn't have said it. But he's like, listen, I would like, here's the terrifying jury. I would, to be on the accused of a crime, and you got Jerry Nadler as the judge and jury, or Adam Schiff as the judge and jury, or Elizabeth Warren, or AOC. Like, it's just, the list goes on and on. It's terrifying. The notion is terrifying. So anyway, I interrupted.
So she had to move it away from him, and she gives it to Adam Schiff, who is legitimately like one of the most corrupt and untrustworthy people in the entire Congress.
Yes.
And he's made it public over the last couple of years. I have dead on information that he absolutely colluded with the Russians. Show it to me.
Yes, I have.
Show it to me. You know what? I think he was saying that. I think he was saying that when he was talking to those Ukrainian comics who punked him into thinking that they had compromat and naked pictures of Trump. I think that's when he came out and said it, and then he had to totally back off of it.
It would be very, very funny to put together that timeline.
Wouldn't it though?
That could be. It could just line up perfectly.
I know, and that would be funny as anything. But yeah. I mean, he is so partisan. He is so. I mean, his anti-Trump bias is so obvious, right?
Yes.
And then you're sitting there and you're listening, and so you're listening to Vindman, and then you hear Devin Nunes question him, and you're like, wait a minute. This guy can't be corroboration for the whistleblower. He's the whistleblower's source.
Yeah.
Like, It's just like when they did the Russia thing and Steele shopped his dossier, and then they used the articles people wrote about the dossier as corroboration for Steele's report.
That's the dangerous part of the whole closed loop of the deep state and the media. Hey,
Yeah.
let's leak out this story, and then USA Today wrote a story. Okay, we have to investigate this because USA wrote a story. It's just that's evil. That's evil.
And then so all ever focusing on Ukraine was going to do was be a problem for Joe Biden.
Yeah. Someone posted this thing today, like I think his last official vote before he, I don't know.
Before he became vice president, I think.
Yeah, and and then, however, just to be a little nonpartisan at the same time, let's not forget that it was George W. Bush that put Hunter Biden on the board of directors of Amtrak.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
That's what
This
I'm
is not
saying
about
too.
Democrat, Republican. I promise you.
This is about big, giant piles of money that nobody counts.
Yep.
And it's like, wow. Then you're realizing, you're like, wow, I'm in the government. I'm not elected. I'm just kind of hanging out here. But wow, there's big sums of money flying around. All I have to do is like take some for myself, and I'm never going to get in trouble. And I'm a patriot. It's just it's not a good system.
There's that, but I mean, what kills me, right, is we have the greatest democratization of information ever in the internet.
Yes.
And all of these people put all of their stuff on the internet. And you can find all of their stuff. You can find the things they've said. You can find the things they've done. You can find their CVs. You can find all this stuff. And our media is I literally do it sitting in my office. I'm not in DC. I'm not calling congressional offices. I'm not questioning people, right? I literally find all of this stuff on my computer. Our media, with the access to all the people they have, are so not curious that they don't find this stuff.
It's worrisome, to say the least. But that's like the power of Q. That's the wonderful thing about, like, and I'm not a big Q guy, but I know people who are, and like the great unintended consequence is like when there are these crazy, weird, like Nostradamus Q postings, you have to go, ooh, what could that possibly mean? And then you start looking stuff up, and then you discover stuff, and that's like a great. I'm sure that's not how they drew it up. Whoever invented Q, but it's a great, like, unintended consequence is just getting everyday citizens curious about stuff. Like me, like last night, like I wonder how much we do spend in U.S. aid, and then you're like, holy crap, $50 billion. 50 billion. There's no way that's a good return on investment.
None.
There is no way. Like we're getting nothing back for that. Nothing. You could literally, and the math took me a long time to figure out, and I'm probably wrong. But it seems like, but never mind. But there's a lot of millions in 1 billion. There's a lot of millions. I think it's 10. Well, I can't remember. Go ahead.
With everything I've read and everything I've looked up and everything I've seen in probably the last 6 to 8 weeks. Okay.
I got to just say right now, that was very poetic. That almost sounded like a song. It really did. With everything
you don't want me to sing.
No, but like with everything I've read and with everything I've seen and with everything, it had it had a good rhythm to it. It was musical. I'm just celebrating that moment. I have to celebrate that moment. Let it go.
You can kind of understand why people prefer to write these things off as conspiracy theories, because they're really kind of terrifying. When you stop and think about it, it's a big bummer. And but with all this stuff, I mean, American citizens need to demand, right, that Congress write a law that our State Department stop giving money to in-country NGOs. Like, unless it has to do with giving people basic health care or food, we're not doing it.
Yes.
We're not doing civil society organizations. We're not doing pro-abortion organizations, and we're sure as hell not giving money to George Soros funded organizations.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you're going to have a hard time. I mean, that would be an interesting, one to do, but I don't think a bill like that has any kind of chance, any kind of. There was a guy who wrote a book, and they turned it into
money.
I know. There was a guy who wrote a book, oh my gosh, about insider tradings in Congress, and how, they all help each other out, and they invest in these stocks, and that's how they all come out millionaires. And 60 Minutes did a report on it, and it was all very true. And it's all a very easy thing to fix. That, once you get elected, you don't do it. They don't want to fix it. I mean, why would you kill the goose that's laying the golden egg? And this whole, the foreign aid thing. And then then it gets down to a philosophical question. I watched this, I think it was John Stossel. Stossel's still out there, making libertarian trouble for people. But it's like, even if your heart is in the right place, there's always like unintended consequences. He did this report, like, what's going on in Africa? Like, why can't Africa get it together? And he was talking to this African girl who had gone through so many, just so much crap, like years and years and years, trying to start her own business, and you got to get this and that. And she was finally reaching some level of success. And she was talking about, well, here's some of the things, like sending aid to these countries. Like, sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind. There is that guy, Tom's Toothpaste. I think it's Tom's Toothpaste. And they also do like Tom's Shoes, right? They're like these environmentally friendly shoes. And if you buy a pair of these shoes, you keep one pair, and Tom's will send another pair to Africa. That is doing so much damage to these economies, because one of the few things that a lot of these super poor countries can do, they still have people who are cobblers and who make shoes, and they fix shoes, and they're going out of business. It's like, we got a couple of industries. We can fix shoes, and then of course Tom's floods the market with free shoes, so all these poor souls go out of, no pun intended, all these poor guys and women go out of business. So by the act of charity, you're doing all this harm that you didn't even know about, and you're sleeping in your comfy air-conditioned apartment in Manhattan or San Francisco, feeling good about yourself, and you're literally knocking the food off out of someone's hand. You're literally starving them to death. It's horrible. I shouldn't laugh. It's just so bad. It's like, like with all these concerts, global citizen, blah, 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 and we're going to send this gift, it really goes back to, teach a man to fish and he'll fish forever, give a man a fish and, he'll steal a bunch of fish. I don't even know what the quote is, but it's like, I'm in a big time dial back on the foreign aid. That's just a big honeypot of corruption and free money. And I feel, it's got to be horrible if you're trying to get up on your feet and start a business in Africa, and then somebody from some foreign country just like floods the market with like free merchandise and then pats you on the head. We're here to help. You're welcome. I wanna punch you in the face, Toms of Maine. It's the worst. And it's go ahead.
I want us to like dial it back in huge ways.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I'm
sitting there the other day looking at a page that says our embassy in the United Arab Emirates,
yes,
gave more than $1 million to this Atlantic Council. Why? Like, the Atlantic Council is trying to foment transnational political structures between Europe and the U.S., Europe and North America. Like, they're not in the Middle East.
Yeah, it's like
I'm like, what, $1 million? Really? And there were like 6 or 7 embassies on there giving this group money. Why?
Yes. Yeah. And it's nothing. It's
nobody got fed. Nobody got clothed. Nobody got housed.
It's these think tanks always kind of scare me. And of course I want to start a think tank. So I already feel like a hypocrite. But like literally, you eggheads sit around, and we're gonna get some foreign investors, some foreigners, and they'll pay your bills. But just sit around and try to figure out how we could do X, Y, or Z. Now, and I'm sure like there's got to be tons of them. There just have to be tons of them. And like, yeah, the Saudi. Then you stumble across like, hey, we did some research and we found out that if you invest in VW tires and then take that money and put it through this shell corporation and then move it over here, and then it just seems like, yeah. And there's no like who's watching the watchers. I know I sound so paranoid today. My apologies, you guys. Expecting the light and funny. I'm like I'm Mr. Like Paranoid.
You're not even paranoid. And here's what I find hysterical.
Do tell.
I do these 2 really in-depth articles, like telling you everything about Fiona Hill and why you shouldn't believe a friggin' thing she says. Mm-hmm. And this other one on this, basic strategy. I write one yesterday on, like, just the fact that Elizabeth Warren is just a liar. I mean, she just lies.
Yes. Yes.
That took off like gangbusters. It's just the weirdest thing ever. Like, I'm trying to tell people about this really awful and scary stuff. So, you're right. It's probably not very happy reading. Because when I post about, like, Elizabeth Warren just being an abject liar, she just lies. People are like, yeah. It's just bizarre to me.
Yeah. It's I was thinking about this the other night. I was having dinner with Brian and Reno and Brian's wife, and then like we're the only people in the restaurant. We're just kind of hanging out, had the run of the place. But it's like if you look at matchups, like who would you? Okay, so let's say this. This is our own little think tank here at the Loftus Party podcast. Like in terms of matchups, I kind of want it to be Warren versus Trump. And I kind of think that's how it's going to play out. I don't know. I don't see Joe Biden's going to fade.
Well, I mean,
I can't believe he's held on this long.
There's going to be so much scrutiny on his like soft corruption over the next couple months. There's no way.
Yeah. And like he really looks like he's not doing well, like physically and mentally, like he's not getting enough sleep. I hear the campaign trail is just brutal. Oh
yeah, and I mean, I heard a question on a video I was watching earlier today. Have you ever met a Biden supporter?
No.
I mean, if you're driving around, you'll see a Bernie sticker, you'll see a Warren sticker, you might see a Buttigieg sticker, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you ever see a Biden bumper sticker?
I have not.
Yeah,
I mean,
and what this person basically said was, when you're polling the people who are casually involved in politics, right? The ones that walk by the TV, hear read the Chiron or whatever, they know who Joe Biden is. So, I'll vote for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like no fans, no real fans.
Like no, yeah. I mean, you see his events in Iowa, they're not really well attended.
I know, and like the way he stutters and stumbles and so many gaffes, I'm like, if I was a member of the family, I'd be like, you know what, you had a good run, you scammed a lot of money,
right.
You got to take a knee now. I think it's going to be right now. I don't think Bloomberg has a chance. I don't think, and hey, shout out.
They're just making it so that an even smaller plurality of voters will be required to get the nomination.
I want to do a big shout out to whatever marketing company convinced Bloomberg to spend like 37 million in 1 week. Like if you're the ad agency and you're like, hey, we make really good political commercials, somebody hit the mother load. Somebody hit the mother load. You came out of that meeting with Bloomberg and you guys sit down. Sit down. What happened? How'd it go? I'm telling you right now, sit down. You're not going to believe this.
We just had a great week.
He's going to spend 37 million. Wow. That's the best week ever. But I don't think Bloomberg has a chance. I don't think
Patrick doesn't have a chance.
No, I don't think Cory Booker, and this is horrible, but like Cory Booker, it's like the way he speaks and his eyes, he just looks a little crazy, but that's just me. Like he's just so theatrical and he's such an over actor. I think it's going to be.
He waited too long to talk about the good stuff he did in Newark because it sounds too conservative. I'm serious.
Newark still has that image problem. Newark still has that, like, it might as well be Libya.
He started a great charter school program there that's really been effective.
Well, good for him. But yeah, you're right. He waited too long. I'm calling it. I think it's going to be Elizabeth Warren, and I think her running mate is going to be Pete Buttigieg. I think he's going to be her VP. I think that's how it's going to shake out.
No.
Really?
If it's
okay.
Warren, I think she's going to ask Stacey Abrams. And Stacey, of course, will have to give up being governor of Georgia. But
wait, Stacey Abrams lost.
No, she didn't. Just ask Elizabeth Warren. That's one of the things she lied about again this week. That's why I think she's like eyeing her, because we have to make sure that election fraud doesn't happen, and because Stacey Abrams is the rightful governor of Georgia, we need to make sure that this never happens again. I'm like, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. You are a liar.
So you're calling it Warren Abrams right now?
I think that's if Warren's the nominee, I think it's a distinct possibility.
Okay. I think it's going to be Warren. I really do. And I could be wrong.
I think that's great, because you will lose the vote of every union member in the country.
Yeah.
Not the union leadership, and maybe not the teachers union, maybe not the public union, but every other guy who goes out there and welds stuff, digs stuff, repairs electrical. He's given up wages for decades to keep really good health insurance, and you think you're going to take it away. You're ridiculous.
There's the dude, my Uber driver. I land in Chicago O'Hare, hop in an Uber, and talking to this dude who was my Uber driver, and he is in the Carpenters Union. He's and I'm like, well, I don't know why he's driving Uber, but maybe just to make extra money. I don't know. But holy crap. This guy has a house here in Chicago that he bought. It's the house he grew up in. He bought it from his mom for like a song, and now he's in a position where like people are just knocking on his door and offering him tons of money. He has a second home in Florida that's doing what. This guy's a carpenter. He's just crushing it. I'm like, dude, you're doing quite well. And then he's out there driving Uber. He was a big boy. He was a very big boy. But I'm like,
but I mean,
he's a union dude. Talk about Chicago union guy.
My friend is a sheet metal worker. Okay, so that's a craft hall union. You don't work for an employer. You work out of the union hall, and you get placed on jobs, right?
Yeah.
So, which to me is the only valid union. Sorry. But anyway, craft unions are good. They do the training. They do the health insurance. They do everything for their members. And then they negotiate with the companies.
Yeah.
Their deductible, their out-of-pocket max on their health insurance is $250.
Damn.
Okay. Do you think they're going to vote for Elizabeth Warren and Medicare for all?
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be
You'd have to be retarded.
Yes. So that's a
oh, by the
problem
way,
for her.
I'm also going to advance this theory. Okay? Guys, if you're born in Gen X and you're thinking about voting for any of these people, go get your head examined. Like, you must have had a lobotomy in your sleep and not realized it. I have to qualify that. If you're in Gen X and you have a retirement account, okay?
Yes.
I lost half of my retirement account during the Obama administration in the crash. Most of it didn't come back during his 8-year tenure.
Yeah.
And now it's rocking. I might actually
Well,
be able to retire because we're not going to get Social Security. So,
I think you're making a logical argument to people who are making an emotional argument. And that's my other big concern. I think that, like, and I actually did a video about this too. It's like, well, we want to be socialists, but like Sweden. We want to be socialists, but like Sweden.
They're not socialists.
Exactly, and that's what my video was about. And so when there's this really, really strange. And this is, once again, it's just my gut feeling. You go, wow, if you vote for her, your taxes are going to go up X, Y, and Z. But then they think, oh, but I'm going to get so much great stuff. And it's going to be wonderful. And it's going to be Shangri-La. And it's like, it goes back to the whole, imagine the DMV. Imagine, like, how well does the DMV work for you? Is that how do you want to go to a hospital and have it be like the DMV? Because that's what
you don't even have to imagine that.
For.
Just go to the VA.
Well, no one goes to the VA except
not
for
unless they have to.
But I'm talking about
that's
a Gen
a
X
government-run health system. We have one.
I understand what that is. I understand what that is, and I'm saying to make every kid in Gen X has to go to the DMV. That's something that they can put together. Like, remember that horrible afternoon you spent and you had to stand there in line for 3 hours to write a big fat check so you could get a sticker on your car or else you'd be arrested? Like, that's the problem. So I think keep it emotional to emotional. Okay, we're going to do some Thanksgiving talk because we have to. I am very, very stoked for this Thanksgiving. Am I doing anything differently? No, I'm not. It's not like I'm going to deep fry a turkey. I'm not making ribs. It's going to be old school, just roasting the turkey in the oven. Mm-hmm. But I'm very, very, very much looking forward to this one. And I might do. I won't even tease that. But I'm just like, usually I don't get that jazzed about Thanksgiving. Like, Thanksgiving's a good one, but I don't get excited about it. I find myself the past couple of days, like, I cannot wait. I'm like ready to cook. I'm ready to just hang out and kick back. And oh yeah, the turkey's going, and I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna eat a boatload of food, and I'm gonna get caught up on the Mandalorian. I'm gonna watch there. There's a new episode of that out. Came out last Friday. I haven't seen it, so there's no spoilers. But yeah, I'm just ready. There's a new Star Wars game out that I'm gonna play. Like, my Thanksgiving is just gonna be.
Got it all mapped out.
I really do.
I've got a great plan too.
What do you got going on?
For the first time since
I was 23,
I'm not cooking.
Really? What are you going to do?
I am bringing an appetizer of stuffed jalapenos, and that's it. One of our friends is the regional meat manager for Whole Foods, and he puts out a spread. And he said, "Come on over to the house." I said, "All right."
That's great.
That's what I'm doing.
Now let me ask you this, because I see no flaw in your plan. I see no flaw. There's just one little question. How long of a drive is it? How long do you have to go?
5 minutes.
You crushed it. You crushed it. That's great. Now, okay, now here's another question. The only other, will you be able to leave this place with just a boatload of leftovers?
Uh-huh.
That's great. Yeah, you did well.
He does like a turkey and a ham, and he does like all kinds of meat, all kinds of sides.
Mm-hmm. I could go for some ham right now. I could crush.
I'm not a big ham person.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really not. I like a smoked ham. I don't like those like glazed sweet.
Oh, we're completely different people. We're completely different people. I don't like any kind of smoked anything. Smoked turkey, smoked ham.
I could make you
It
a
just
smoked
sounds
meatloaf.
no.
And would make it. Mm-hmm.
No, you couldn't. You couldn't. You know what we are? Let me ask you this. I've never asked you this question. What do you like cilantro?
Yes.
Okay.
I would brush my teeth with it.
Well, there it is. There it is. We've come to because I'm one of those cilantro tastes horrible. Like cilantro tastes like soapy chemical.
Yeah, my girlfriend's that way too.
Yeah, because they say it's almost like a 50-50 split. Okay, so that explains it. We're on opposite ends of the spectrum.
I totally agree that sushi is overpriced bait.
Oh, it's too funny. That's I got to write that down. I might do that. I literally might do that on stage tonight. I might do my sushi bit just as a little extra for the Fox Nation special. But like it's like that sushi is still popular just amazes me.
Blows my mind.
Every person I know who's ever had sushi and claims to love it has a bad sushi story. They have a story where, oh yeah, it must have been the sushi. I was horribly ill. I couldn't stop crapping. I vomited. And like,
Wouldn't
why
that make
would
you stop?
Right? Like, why would you go? What? Like, if I had a grilled cheese sandwich, and God bless the grilled cheese sandwich, but if I had a grilled cheese sandwich that made me violently ill for a couple of days, I would never have a grilled cheese sandwich again. I'm like,
my sister caught a stomach bug, and before she felt too sick, we had minestrone soup for dinner. She's never eaten minestrone soup again, and she was like 5.
Exactly. Why?
Like, minestrone actually had nothing to do with it.
Right. It was just a bystander. But there's an association.
Going backwards, it's not the same. So.
And that people keep coming back for sushi it's just beyond me. It is just such a great flippin', and it's expensive. It's expensive. It's like
it's all a la carte, and by the time you're done, you've spent like $150 on bait.
And it's like, what drives me crazy is like they're lying to me. There's no way. You do not like the flavor of raw fish wrapped in white rice, wrapped in seaweed. No, I do not believe it. I do, because there is no flavor to it. It's just like a mass of snot. And then that's why. And then they'll sit there and they will swear to you. They will swear to you that they love the flavor. As they're putting on that wasabi green paste that like is such a powerful spice, it knocks the flavor out of everything. It's like, I can't fight them anymore. I can't fight them. I knuckle under, and but it's unbelievable how many people, like when you work with on a TV show, and you can have anything. They have a huge budget, and they're like, where do you guys want to eat today? And the amount of just wannabe, douchey, untalented people, ooh, let's have sushi. And I'm like, I already know you're not funny. I already know you don't have talent. Because the only reason you want sushi is because what you think it means to other people who claim they like it. It's like, oh, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. We won't be having sushi at the Loftus house ever in my life, and we won't be having it for Thanksgiving.
No.
I'm roasting up a turkey. I'm making my homemade stuffing, which
I am making not a thing.
Said you're making jalapeno poppers.
Well, but I mean, I can make those the day before. I'm not like cooking all day.
Oh yeah,
because that's usually what happens. I make the pies the night before. Then I'm cubing up because I do cornbread stuffing, doing all that, getting stuff prepped, and then I'm literally cooking all day the next day.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's brutal.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff. That. Like I'm not making pies, you guys. I'm buying pies, but I will buy pies in excess. I will be buying multiple pies. There will be pumpkin pie, there will be apple pie, and there will be pecan pie. Like it's just going to be an avalanche of stuff that I'm just gonna like. I'll be eating this for days. I'm gonna, and it's gonna be instant mashed potatoes. And if you don't like that,
instant mashed potatoes.
Yup. I'm not.
What?
Listen, I don't know why people do this. They're like, oh, I buy the potatoes and then I scrub them and I wash them and I rinse them. Then I peel them. Then I boil them. Then I mash them. Then I'm like, why would you do that? Why are you torturing
Because they actually
yourself?
taste like potatoes.
So do instant mashed potatoes.
No, they don't. They taste like cafeteria food.
What? Mashed potatoes are flavor neutral. A potato
No,
is
that's not true. They taste like the box they came in.
No, you're getting
Yes,
the wrong.
they do.
You're getting the wrong instant mashed potatoes.
Idahoan
mashed potatoes. Yes, they're fantastic.
They're awful.
No, they're great.
Well, you
Listen.
don't like cilantro, so you're just continuously wrong.
We're just on opposite. Listen, I am so like Mr. Like if I love the Idaho instant. You just pour out that white powder.
There's another guy. My friend Tony, who loves them too. I'm like, no, that's just gross.
They're so delicious, and they come
No,
like
they're not.
yes, they are, and you can get like different flavors.
We're gonna do a Twitter poll.
Homemade or Idaho instant.
Exactly.
Idaho instant is going to crush you. Idaho instant is going to crush you. Be prepared.
No. I do not believe this.
All right. I have got to jettison here. I got to hop in the shower. I got to get over to the club. We're taping a bunch of stuff. The show's tonight. You'll listen to this on Monday, so it'll already be done. And then next week we'll discuss how it went, and hopefully I'll have an air date, an expectation for when they think that this will come out on the Fox Nation and all that other stuff, and it'll be great. And then we'll have much more politics to go. I will have gotten caught up on the Mandalorian. I will have seen episode 3 and episode 4.
Also, maybe in a
yeah, there will be a food coma. I'll have so many leftover instant mashed potatoes, and I'll just be eating them every day instead of cereal.
Ew, gross.
All right. So have a good one, and congratulations. I love it that like Huckabee and Glenn Beck and all these people that I love that you're on the radar. Our power grows. Our power grows. So have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. Take care. Hug those in your family. Let them know they're cared for. We'll see you next week.